No one seems to be happy anymore. Oh, it's only through the grace of God that my girls turned out to be the angels that they are.
I see two eyes staring into space.
Been something strange in our family.
When I was living in Philadelphia, I just gotten out of school, and I used to go to this theater called the Palace Theater. It was my grindhouse of choice. I was on Market Street. It was one of the only ones on Market Street in Philadelphia that wasn't really scuzzy. And they ran double bills. They changed them a couple times a week. And this movie called The Name of the Game is Kill, which I had never heard of, and I doubt anyone else had ever heard of. It probably sprang more or less from nowhere. Was playing on a double bill. And I went to see it, not expecting much, because I didn't know what it was going to be. And from the very beginning of the picture, from the first couple of shots, the composition of the shots was so good that I sort of sat up and went, this is a little better than the usual kind of thing.
It really, in all the things I did, it took the longest to get it from the original written form onto the screen. 10 years. This was my first one. I had done a movie called Giant and the Unknown, and it was kind of like chorus line, you know, the musical number. I can do that. I thought, well, I can do that. I can write a script. I'll sit down, I'll write a script. I lived in a little one-room place over a liquor store on Hollywood Boulevard. Outside it had a flashing liquor sign, flashing on, off, and I couldn't sleep at night anyway. I sat there and I wrote the thing out in play form, my story idea, based on a family I knew in Hollywood right then, at that time. It was a woman, don't know what happened to her husband, had 3 daughters and a bulldog, and they lived in this weird old big frame home. So while I'm trying to get other jobs as an actor, I'm going around with one of the girls who had beautiful hands. She wanted to be an actress, but they are always using her hands. If you look at any Pierre Angeli film and you see an insert of hands, those aren't Pierre's hands. They were her hands. She had beautiful hands. And she wasn't bad looking otherwise, too. And her 2 sisters, they were dancers at the Moulin Rouge, Frank Sinis's Moulin Rouge on Sunset Boulevard, big nightclub, had 100 dancers. Living alone and everything, I was over there and they'd cook me up a meal. And it got to where I moved in with them and it got involved with each one of the girls whose personalities completely parallel the ones in the movie.
I've known one man.
I passed on the mother and the bulldog. I didn't have an affair with them.
I did not figure on seeing you so soon again.
I took dramatic license on the 3rd act, which you have to do, I think, when most anything, even if it's based on fact. It all got pretty wild at the end, which didn't happen. I just moved out of the house because I felt I was getting trapped in there with the 3 of them.
Is he dead? Of course he's dead.
It's fascinating how each of the characters, too, the female characters, represent different kinds of women.
There was Nan, who was very simplistic and childlike in her point of view of life.
He said she set a cat on fire.
Your sister set a cat on fire?
She's sort of a fantasy character, and you expect, because she's the most overt of the women, that the drifter is probably going to end up with her.
There was Diz, who was very authoritative and pushy and protective.
And we know that he's probably drawn to her, but she's resisting him.
How do you like American girls, Mr. Lipper?
Please, call me Sim.
Anything you say, Mr. Lipper.
There's Mickey, who was, you know, free sexually and very loving, possessive.
I want you. I want to be yours.
But she kind of captivates him because she's the steady one, and that's what he needs. I mean, we don't know what he's really survived from, you know, what story he's walked out of into this new story.
All my family, the girl I was going to marry, they were all killed in the revolution.
I'm sorry.
Something cataclysmic has happened to him and deposited him here in this place where he has to make these important decisions that will impact his survival.
Certainly, the three different women, I think, for me, was the perfect woman. I found the perfect woman in three different women.
When the Georges Franju film, Eyes Without a Face, was first released in this country as part of a double feature with The Manster, the poster said that the film contains a ghastly elegance suggestive of Tennessee Williams. And I personally can't see that in the Franju film, but I see it very much in movies like The Name of the Game is Kill, where you're presented with family units and drifters that come in and are sort of adopted outsiders who find themselves in the company of the ultimate outsiders, people who are misrepresenting themselves and their own relationships to the world at large.
Why, Sim, it's so nice to see you again.
Certainly is. Where have you been?
Then I met an up-and-coming producer-director named Curtis Harrington. He read the play and he liked it, and he said, "But this is Hollywood, who needs a play? You got to put it in the screenplay form." So he helped me, and we got the thing in the screenplay form. And it was called Young Man Among Women, because I was the young man and they were the women and everything. He had a good cast put together on it. He did Night Tide with Dennis Hopper, and very good director, very, very sensitive. He had George Hamilton lined up to play me. Tuesday Wells was going to play Mickey, and all the way down the line, Gloria Swanson was going to play the mother. And he had it fairly well set up, and I was working for an agent named Henry Wilson, who represented Rock Hudson. And that was his biggest star, and he had a lot of other big stars too. But Rock, at the time, was deciding he wanted to go behind the scenes and produce and direct and all that, which is a good idea because he was getting up there. You can't stay, you know, a young leading man or a leading woman forever.